Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Candice Lee, and I am a final year law student at the National University of Singapore. I'm also the winner of the 2018 Miss Singapore Beauty Pageant. I'm pleased to be your host for today's webinar. Before we begin, if any of you have questions regarding this discussion, don't hesitate to send them to us by commenting in the comment section of whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and I'll be here to direct them to our guest speaker. Welcome to the live webinar series of ESME.ph. This is an e-learning marketplace for Filipino professionals, where one can develop relevant and in-demand skills through masterclasses in different fields of learning. If you want to learn more about us, feel free to visit our page at www.esme.ph. For those watching on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, feel free to share the link to this stream to people who you think will be interested in today's topic. This webinar is in partnership with the ASEAN Youth Organization, an ASEAN-approved non-profit organization that spreads awareness of ASEAN to over 200 million young people in Southeast Asia. This webinar is also brought to you by the Rotary Club of Alabang Madrigal Business Park. Today, we are going to talk about sustainable IT, responsible consumption, and disposal. What do we mean by sustainable IT? According to an article written by Circular Computing, sustainable IT, also known as green IT, covers the manufacturing, disposal, and use of information technology in a way that minimizes its impact on the environment. We will be speaking with our guest speaker to learn more about what is sustainable IT, together with responsible consumption and disposal. Our guest speaker is the CEO and President of Pinwheel IT Solutions, a startup IT company. He has been in the Philippine startup scene in the past 2 years and worked as the Chief Marketing Officer for a fintech company and as a COO for a logistics company before he became the Chief Executive Officer and President of Pinwheel IT Solutions, Inc., which is a local startup ITO BPO company that focuses on future-proofing their clients' businesses through sustainable IT solutions. He's also investing his time to establish a non-profit organization, together with several scouts in the Philippines, to promote the scouting movement, as well as the role of the scouts in achieving the sustainable development goals. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the CEO of Pinwheel IT Solutions, Mr. Khim Gamora. So, hi, Mr. Khim. How are
Hi,
you?
yeah, I'm doing fine. Good afternoon. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I was in Philippines and meeting you over coffee. So let's just dive into the topic today, okay? So
hmm
my first question for you is, what is actually sustainable IT?
Well, thank you for that. Sustainable IT or information technology is built on the principles of green IT. So it is the practice and uh, the production from production to consumption to disposal of information technology products and services that positively impact or has very little negative impact on our environment.
Oh, I see. Okay, but is it technology the very reason why our planet is suffering right now?
Well, that might be true on some cases. We all know that when the technology when we had the industrial revolution,
Mm.
technology uh, impacted the environment or on our planet significantly, right? But right now, we cannot go back and just uh, reclaim all the damage that we have done on our planet. What we can do now is we can change our way of using and disposing these IT products.
I
So
see, I see.
it's a common misconception that technology is uh, the opposite of sustainability. But the truth is, you can use technology to promote sustainability and to help the environment
Mm,
uh, to be more sustainable.
right. So we'll harness the power of technology to move forward in our sustainable IT movement. So my next question for you is actually what inspired you to work on sustainable IT solutions?
Oh, that's a great question, Candice. To be honest, I only started working on sustainable IT this year. So before I was working with blockchain financial technology, uh, and then when I became a father, I realized that we only have one planet, right? So as a father, I want to give my son a world that he can live or he can enjoy. So to be honest, before I'm a technology enthusiast, and every time that there's a new phone, I I buy it. So I changed my lifestyle when it comes to using technologies, purchasing IT products. So when I became a father, I said to myself, or I told myself that I need to do something to give my family and the future generation uh, a good or a livable environment without compromising or without sacrificing the technology or the industry I'm working on.
Right. So it's mainly driven by your fatherhood and your commitment to your son's future as well as the future generation.
That is correct. And actually, as a scout, uh, we uh, we were told or we were taught that we have to do everything on our best to do our duty, not just on our country, but to follow God's teaching to protect the environment, to protect His creation.
I see. Okay, so I'd really love to hear your founding story. Could you tell us how you built Pinwheel IT Solutions?
Yeah, sure. Pinwheel IT Solutions, as you have mentioned earlier, it's a startup ITO and BPO company in the Philippines. So the idea of putting up this Pinwheel IT Solutions or Pinwheel developers started way back 2014 when one of our co-founders, our chief technology officer, Mr. Jotam Hernandez, thought about putting up his own company, building websites, building solutions for small businesses. And then when we met last November of 2019, we talked about why not let's put up our own business. Let's put up a company that will, future-proof businesses.
I see.
And just like what I mentioned earlier, it's just occurred to me that we have to practice sustainability this year. So when the pandemic hit everyone, of course, our business were affected. Our business were put on hold due to government regulations. So
Mhm.
we talk a lot during this time, and uh, we realized that we can do something, right? So aside from future proofing our clients' businesses by giving them websites, putting them in the digital world, so we think of something that how can we future proof businesses while promoting sustainability. So our company uh, started working on providing a cloud-based solution. To be honest, Candice, we are not a typical startup company, right? So are, we started since the beginning of our foundation. We started working remotely. So we don't have what do you call this, a physical office. We only have a virtual office where all mails or all bills or legal documents will be sent there. But with regards to our data center or a workplace, we don't have that. So we are practicing tele remote work or work at home arrangement. So that way, we are not adding um, air pollution with travel, right? So we are not um, giving or we're not making any additional problems with the environment since we don't have our data center on our office. So we don't have or we don't need a cooling system just to maintain it. So with our remote work solutions or with our remote work practice, we are able to contribute to you know we are able to contribute to minimizing the human foot or carbon footprint while we are working with our clients. So even without the pandemic, we don't meet our client as much as possible. We don't meet our clients personally. We only do online consulting.
I see, I see. That sounds awesome. Not so you also save time on transport as well as the environment at the same time. Killing two birds with two stones with one stone. Sorry, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, aside from uh, not contributing to air pollution, light pollution, and global warming, we also save money, and that's sustainability, right?
Yes.
So with smaller budget, we can work with instead of 12 months or instead of having a budget that will work only for 12 months, we can extend it, let's say, for another 18 months. So that's sustainability. It's not just about not polluting the environment, but it's very big. And
Indeed.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my next question for you, could you share with us what technologies or IT products and practices have negative implications on the environment these days so that we can all know to avoid them?
Well, let me ask you a question. What type of phone do you use?
I'm using a smartphone. It's a Samsung S10. Yeah.
Yeah, Samsung, right? So
Yeah.
what type of USB port do you have?
Keyboard?
USB port, the charging port.
Oh, it's a USB-C port. Yeah.
Yeah, and your charger can be used by other phones with USB-C port, even if it is not Samsung, right?
Right.
So that's one good practice of sustainability. But if I'm
Mm,
going to give an example uh, of any bad IT products or services, that would be the phones that is not manufactured or that was not manufactured for universal use. Let's say iPhones, right? So
right.
iPhones are not made to share um, power cords or even it's Bluetooth, right? You cannot use any other Bluetooth devices unless it's Apple. So
Yeah.
not it's not sustainable. And every year, Apple releases new phone with very minimal upgrades. So every year they ask or they mine um, minerals or they mine lithium just to make their products. And every year you know people are motivated or it's like it's their habit already that every September they have to wait for the new iPhone release and they have to buy it within the next couple of months. So that's a bad habit. Mobile phones are not supposed to be for you to use it for only 1 year. So you have to use it as long as it's working and you have to give it a second life if it stopped working. Also, even when we are at home or in our office, prolonged use of computer is actually bad for the environment. So if you have a habit of leaving your computer monitor on, even if you're not using it, like if you're going to the mall, you will just leave your computer open. That is a bad practice. So what we can do is just turn it off or put it on sleep mode, and of course you can save the environment. So there are a lot of practices that people or that consumers do that is very bad on the environment. So my points are, if you frequently operate your mobile devices, your gadgets, your computer peripherals, that is not good for the environment. If you don't turn on switch off your computers when not in use, that is bad for the environment. So aside from the electricity that you're consuming, of course you are contributing to light pollution, right? And global
Mm.
warming, because monitors, even if it's LED, it provides, or what I mean, it creates a warm feeling, or it adds heat to the environment.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very hot for the user using it as well.
Well, if I may ask you, are you doing any of these bad habits?
Not really, I think, because in the office I always make sure my monitor is off if I'm not using it, but I can't really help that I'm staring at my monitor 90% of the time. So yeah, so
Okay.
okay. So yeah, so the next question, how do we find out, like how do we evaluate whether a company is considered a green company?
That's a good question again, Candice. So, well, when we say that a company is a green company, it's not just about producing products that is made for longevity. It's not just talking about companies that uses remote work solutions like us. So one criteria that you can say that a company is a green company is that if it has no labor issues, if it is not involved in child labor, uh, if there are no political issues, if they don't destroy the environment, they are they can be called as green company. So pretty much, Apple is not a green company,
Mm,
right? So even if a company has very if even if a company has a very active corporate social responsibility, well, let's face it, CSR are just, you know, just a mask that these corporate companies wear. But the
mm,
reality behind that CSRs, what are they doing? Do they provide um, just compensation with their workers? Do they provide benefits or government mandated benefits? Uh, are they uh, cohorts of contractualization? If not, then they have one criteria to be called as a green company.
I
So
see.
again, this is not just about uh, the production or the environmental impact. We also have to consider human rights and uh, workers' rights. That's it.
I see. So my next question for you is, in the middle of this pandemic, where almost everyone stays at home, use gadgets to communicate, and many people are buying more gadgets to comply with work or school requirements. So, how do we live sustainably in this digital era?
Okay. Well, again, we cannot avoid using. Let's face it, we cannot avoid using the computer, right? So even in school, at work, we're using computers. So what we can do, just like what I said earlier, is of course start by turning it off if it's not in use. That's very basic. So next is the if there are new models or there are new products, reevaluate your gadget or your lifestyle. Do you really need that new gadget? Do you really need that upgrade?
Hmm.
So next one is Let's say you have, or you are trying, or you are going to purchase a television,
Mm-hmm.
but you also want to watch Netflix or listen to Spotify on the television. So again, reevaluate your needs, reevaluate your lifestyle. Do you need, or do you want to buy a television with a set-top box, or you just want to buy a smart TV where you can all do those functions in one gadget or in one appliance? Next one is we can extend the lifetime of your gadgets of or your electronics. I mean, there are a lot of promotions. There are a lot of advertisements that why don't you trade your old phones to get this new one and get a discount, right? So, or get this phone or buy one phone and you'll get 25% off on the second one. So that's not very sustainable. That's not good for the environment. We'll go back to reevaluation. And if uh, you really need to have that gadget, try to, or if you are really having a problem with your gadget, try to extend its life. So how can we do that? For mobile phones, buy case, tempered glasses, so to protect it and prolong its life. Keep your devices clean. Make sure it's always performing at its optimal level, and avoid overcharging the battery. So
See.
that's one. That's another thing during this pandemic.
Okay, so who or what are the people or entities that can contribute to sustainable IT? Because sometimes I feel that like things that I do as an individual might not be so big. It's not just like a drop in the ocean. So I feel like does it really matter that as an individual I contribute, or only entities like corporations can contribute by changing their policies?
Well, even even if I mean, if you're just one doing this sustainable IT practices, yes, it's small, but you are contributing to uh, environment sustainability. So let's start with the consumers. So if we are going to practice this, or if we're going to practice sustainability, uh, let's say a million people practices sustainable IT, that's big already. So if we're going to look at an individual contribution, that's small. But if we're going to look at a collective uh, perspective, that is big. So what we can do, or a consumer, what you can do, advocate for sustainable IT practices, call out companies that are not practicing sustainability, boycott companies or products that are not sustainable for the environment. So that are the things that the consumer can do. And for companies, uh, first off, respect the rights of their workers. Give them just compensation, give them the government mandated benefits. And the second thing is consider um, the remote work solution or remote work setup and use cloud-based solutions. So this will minimize uh, any negative impact on the environment. So those are the things that a consumer or a company can do to help or to promote sustainable IT practices.
I see. Thank you for sharing. Then how do we dispose of IT products which may be working or may not be working? Because I have just so many electronics just in my house piled up, and I don't know what to do with them because I think someone told me before it's not good. You can't just throw batteries and electric appliances down the rubbish bin. It's bad for the environment. I heard. I don't know if it's a myth or is that a fact.
But that's true. You cannot just throw batteries together with your normal garbage or normal trash. So let's say your gadget has no uh, what they call this, no chance of being fixed, or there's no way of extending its life anymore. So there are lots of programs in the local government units, private entities, their corporate social responsibilities, who are collecting e-waste to process them and to make sure that this will be properly disposed on an e-waste disposal uh, site. Okay, so again, don't just throw your gadgets or your uh, damaged equipment or appliances with the normal garbage. Okay, so next, okay, so just like what I mentioned earlier, reevaluate your needs and try to extend the life of your electronics. Mobile phones are made to be repaired. Okay, there are lots of service centers or even or companies that can replace your mobile screen if it broke. And if you need a replacement of your battery, you can just go to your provider or your vendor to have it replaced. So you see what I'm talking? You cannot do this with Apple phones. So right? So
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. You can't do this with Apple phones. You must. I think you must bring it to the service center of Apple,
And
and then
they'll say,
they would charge you an exorbitant amount, and then sometimes they would refuse to fix it.
yeah. So they just like what you said, they will charge you an exorbitant fee, or they will say to you that we cannot fix it. There's no available products. There's no available replacement. Just buy a new one. Give us your phone back, right? So that's not very sustainable. And then, uh, as I'm talking earlier, even computers, right? So computers are made or are produced for a longer period or to be used in a longer lifespan than a mobile phone. So I do have a laptop that is already 9 years old, going
Wow,
10 by next year, and it's working fine.
wow,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, so what I
What brand
did,
is it?
I'm sorry,
What brand is your laptop?
it's Asus.
Oh,
So
Asus. Oh, I see it. It's wow, that's amazing. Maybe my next time shopping at Asus as well.
this was, well, personally I recommend Asus because they are built to uh they were built to stand or to be used for a longer period or longer lifespan. But I don't endorse it. This is not a paid promotion. So um, let's go back with my laptop. The reason why I still have it, and I can still, to be honest, that's an Intel i3 uh, first or second generation, I think. If you
Mhm.
imagine this, that's a very old technology already. But I
Yeah,
can
indeed.
still use it with video editing, graphics designing. Why? Because I always try to give it a second life. So I can say that my laptop is already on its fifth life. So I try to fix it by myself. Like if there's any board level problem, I try to fix it. If I cannot do it, I hire a technician to do it. And the second one is I always try to clean my laptop every once in a while. I cannot let it stay, or I cannot just use it for, let's say, about a year without having it cleaned. That will only contribute to further distraction or further destruction of your gadget. You will not be able to use it at its optimal level. It will produce more heat. It will be hotter. So basically, before you dispose any damaged devices or appliances, try to give it a second life. So if there's
Mm,
nothing you can do, coordinate with your local government units, with any corporate entities that have programs for e-waste or proper e-waste disposal. Don't just throw it with your normal garbage.
I see. I think really awareness in this regard is really lacking because I remember last time the Singapore government had initiative that set up like e-waste recycle bins in shopping malls. I think the
Mm.
take-up rate is very low because I've never seen anyone actually dispose their e-waste in the bin itself. So I think we need to raise more awareness in this regard as well.
Yeah, you're correct. We have to. I mean, sustainable IT practice is not very famous, or it's not um, being practiced by most of the consumers. And we, or like you, as an influencer, have the job to advocate or promote sustainable IT practice.
Mhm. Okay, do you have any further comments, Mr. Kim?
Yeah. Of course. First of all, let's talk about the key contributors or key issues with sustainable IT. Right. So we have the sustainability according to TCO, certified an international certification body that certifies companies, services, or products that is sustainable to the environment, or IT products that is sustainable to the environment. We have to choose sustainably designed and made IT products. So again, we have to consider the lifespan or the longevity of a product before buying it, and we can help reduce the risk of destroying the environment if we buy a product or a gadget that has very long lifespan. Lifespan, okay. And the next one is let's use information technology to reach sustainability goals. So, with the second concern or with the second key issue, it's already proven that IT or information technology is not the opposite of sustainability. Just like what I have said in the start, from the start, so information technology can be used to promote or to advocate for sustainability.
Mhm.
So IT systems can be used, or an efficient IT system can be used to improve the sustainability performance of the office, of their data centers, and their organization as a whole. So online meetings, energy efficiency, it can help all reduce environmental impact and operational costs for every companies.
I
And the
see.
last key issue that we have to discuss is how to create a sustainable IT environment. So let's aim to lower energy consumption. Let's recycle what we can. Let's salvage what we can on our gadgets, on our appliances, on our computers, and let's make sure that every equipments that we have, or every equipment that we have, are performing at its best, uh, being cleaned regularly, uh, and it's not creating uh, too much heat that can contribute to global warming. So, for my last message to our consumers, to our audiences, aside from advocate for the sustainable IT practice, practice it by yourself. Again, reevaluate your needs, extend the life of your electronics, buy environmentally friendly electronics, and donate. Yeah, I have forgot to say this earlier. If you still have a working gadget and you don't want to use it anymore because you have a new one, instead of just putting it on the storage box or
Mhm.
disposing it to the garbage, you can donate it to several organizations that helps or um, that provides assistance to students or the youth that is more in. For example, in the Philippines, currently we are on a distance learning arrangement, and not all students can afford to buy new electronics. So instead of throwing them out the garbage, you can donate them to nonprofit or non-government organizations to help the victims of domestic violence, to help the marginalized sector afford uh, the distance learning system that we have right now. Also,
Mm.
try to reuse large electronics. When I say large electronics, you have television, refrigerator, um, air conditioner. So when we say reuse, it's what we call repurpose. So if you have an old CRT monitor or old uh, television with uh, what they call this, the big one, the box type television, I actually watched one video that they made one television as an aquarium, and it's very great. So they didn't purchase new aquarium. They didn't um, spend anything. They just built an aquarium from the television itself. So that is what I mean when I say they use large electronics. So and the last one is recycle electronics and batteries. So again, dispose them properly, and the entities that are in charge of e-waste disposal and e-waste management, they are the ones who will be um, recycling this and processing this.
All right, I see. Sustainability actually not just helps the environment, but can also help yourself because you save a lot more money if you extend the lifespan of your products and if you don't give in to the temptation of getting a new phone just because it's the coolest new phone, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think I saved about 40,000 pesos already for 2 years because I still have the same phone. And if I am my old self, uh, I think I have already spent about 100,000 because before, my phone only lasts for me for months. I
Mhm.
didn't have a phone that lasts for a year. But when I invested myself to sustainable IT, I realized that I don't have to buy a new phone. My phone is still working fine, not just fine. It works best since I clean it, I remove any unnecessary files, so it's not slowing down. So that's what we can do. The consumers, especially the youth, that's the biggest contribution that you can do. Try to convince yourself not to buy a new phone. That's because it's in trend or it's trending.
Yeah, I think on top of that, I think we can also influence the people around us to practice good habits and be mindful, evaluate our own needs before buying new devices, and like maybe perhaps we can also because in Singapore we don't really the avenues for donation is not so widespread. So even if I want to donate my own devices, I don't really know how to donate and where to donate. So some people also actually sell it online, sell their old devices online for like super cheap. So last time I had a Kindle, and I really didn't want it anymore because I've upgraded to an iPad. So I just sold it like online for $5. It's just a nominal amount because actually it's worth way more than that. So,
Mhm.
but I think that kind of thing is also like you killing two birds with one stone again. Like you help someone else and you get rid of your own trash.
Yeah, the, like f- actually just I mean we were devastated by the typhoon, right? Typhoon Ulysses. So just last week me and my wife were able to declutter ourselves, and we and I just figured out that I do have a lot of cords, electronic cords that I'm not using, and it's just consuming space in our house. So what
Yeah.
we did was we sorted it out. Like these are the cords that cannot be used anymore. These are the cords that can still be used, and these cords are new extra ones that we have to keep. And then right now, to be honest, I actually emailed our local government unit about their program or about e-waste disposal, and I haven't got any response yet. So I haven't shown it away yet. because I'm waiting for the response.
Hopefully they get back to you quickly so that you can declutter your house. That would
Yeah.
be so good.
So yeah, basically, what we need to do is uh, let's all go back to the first step: reevaluate our needs.
Indeed,
That's
yeah.
not just because your phone is slow, you need a new phone. It's not just because your LCD is broken, you need a new phone. Not just because your PC is not working, you need a new phone. Try to reevaluate your needs and try to give it a second life, a third life, or even a fourth life. It will not just
Mm,
save the space, it will not only save the environment, but it will also save you money.
mm. Okay. All right. Thank you for the fruitful discussion, Mr. Kim. Do you have any further comments to, or shall we wrap up for today?
Yeah, there's nothing else that I can add, but I just want to thank everyone who watched this show. I'm seeing a lot of comments here from our friends. Like, can I greet them? Greenman Matthias Gelber. And we also have Miss Cathy Solis. Oh, my mother-in-law. And our scouts from, uh, yeah, hi, Mama. That's my mother-in-law. And we have Matthias Gelber here. He's one of my friends from Sustainable PH and Miss Cathy Solis. So hi, Jessica, for commenting. And yeah, Matthias, I learned from you a lot. Save money, save energy, and safe travel. Marjorie Nunez, good afternoon. And Archangel Michael, good afternoon. Thank you.
Wow,
And
that's impressive.
so thank you for the
Okay.
host. And it's been a great webinar. I hope I shared insightful thoughts, and I hope all of the audiences will start practicing sustainable IT and sustainable living.
All right. Thank you for the inspiring discussion, Mr. Kim. We have now come to the end of the question and answer segment. So, for everyone who attended this webinar, all of you can get a digital certificate for your attendance. Just visit our website at www.esme.ph or click on the link that we posted in the comment section below. We would also like to thank ESME and ASEAN Youth Organization for allowing us to host on this platform. So before this webinar comes to a close, I would like to invite everyone who wants to learn more and increase your knowledge and skills to just visit our website at www.esme.ph. They offer a wide range of masterclass courses and those which you can enroll in based on whatever is relevant to your passion, career, and interests. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.